Okay, yeah, good morning once again. So this morning I'd like us to explore, we're moving along in the discussion about the Brahmaviharas, which is based on the discussion of the chakras from the summer immersion. And I'd like to move into the realm of the second chakra. So I'll be unpacking that a little bit for you over the next several weeks. I'm pretty excited about this one because we get to practice awareness of the the indwelling pendulum that goes along with the second chakra. I shall explain that shortly. But also because I'm going to pair it with the quality called mudita. Mudita means appreciative joy, or the ability to have happiness for the happiness of others, or appreciation for the good circumstance or the beneficial wonder that somebody else is experiencing. And yet, as we're going to practice it, that has to do with inner parts of you as well. So, inner parts and outer people, we're not really taking those as two separate undertakings, they are interconnected. Um, so, let's take a seat for a few minutes, please. You can rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to close your eyes and let your attention come inward and to fill the central channel of the body. When you have a regular practice, which means consistency, it's often easier to drop in. So the word Abhyasa, which is one of our key words this fall, it means that we have a certain dedication, and that dedication includes consistency, depth, and duration. So based on the consistency, the regularity of your practice, you'll find it easier to drop in. Or if there's been inconsistency in your practice, you may find it's harder to arrive in the sort of central plumb line. Either way, let yourself arrive. And bring your awareness not only to the breath now, but also to your senses. We say that at the second chakra, in our developmental years, our senses are having a renaissance. They are awakening to a larger sphere of influence when the second chakra kind of turns on. And so I'm going to ask you to be aware of your senses. And you can kind of assess for yourself if your senses have been fatigued, overstimulated, or cared for. Do you protect your senses from time to time? How do you renew your senses? What is the quality of your sense body? Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. And then allow your Ujjayi breathing to go smoothly through the central channel. First chakra, the place we long for stability and tribe. Second chakra, our senses are awakening and we have some chaperoning to do there. Third chakra, a sense of the willingness to continue on the journey, not to get caught in the lower chakras. So here we need dedication, consistency, depth, and duration. And then we rise up to the fourth chakra, the heart. We're kind of ushered up to the fourth chakra by what we do at the first, second, and third. Please join your hands together in Anjali Mudra, and we'll chant Asatoma Satgamaya this morning. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorama Amritam Gamaya Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorama Amritam Gamaya Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorama Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands and please open your eyes. Okay, so one of the quandaries we face with the sense body, so the sense body is also called the Manomaya kosha in the language of the koshas. So one of the quandaries is that the senses are inclined to seek pleasure and avoid pain. They're inclined to tell us where to find pleasure and how to avoid pain. I have to check the chat. Let me see. It's not a big enough font to read it during class. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. I don't know how to make the font bigger. I'm on a huge monitor, but it's still too small to read with these eyes anyway. So the senses have this inclination, and actually since I'm chaperoning midwifing kittens in the other room, helping the adult kittens, which are only a year old, to help the little kittens, they were born on August 20th. I can really see the mammalian brain in action. And our senses have their home base at the mammalian and lizard brain, so that we are seeking pleasure or survival, and we are avoiding pain or non-survival. An example that I often use is the reason that the nose is so close to the mouth. If you were to smell a certain food that your nose determined was offensive or rotten, you wouldn't be inclined to eat it. That's to protect you from eating something that would be toxic to you. Now, my personal sense, this happens if I smell blue cheese or olives. So I give all of my allotment for this lifetime of blue cheese and olives to all of you. Anybody who wants can have all of my portions forevermore. And yet some people feel that way about broccoli. They smell broccoli and that's offensive. So I will accept your allotment of broccoli if it's something you don't like. But with this in the senses, just to be more sincere about it, if our senses are overstimulated, overrun, exhausted, depleted, maybe they become hypersensitive or hyposensitive. So hyper, hypo. And that would mean we're living below the line, which is a technical term from neurobiology, or we're kind of above the line. We're in our sympathetic arousal, we're in our dorsal vagal numbing spot. And yoga wants us to be in the livable bandwidth, the place where we can actually experience what is exquisite about having senses and a mind, a heart, and consciousness. So I'd like us to explore the senses in this practice this morning. I'm going to switch to my Yeti microphone because I don't prefer to wear a headset while I'm teaching. Now I have to be really careful, try to see the words. So please come over to your hands and knees in table pose. And I'd like you to have the space behind you that you could straighten one leg, and the space out to the side that you could raise an arm. Also give yourself the space to the side that you could raise a leg, that you could explore that region. And so when you come to this table pose, place your hands as always so that they are shoulder width apart, please. And as you inhale, bring your full attention to where the air enters the nose and where it touches the back of the throat. So start at the entrance of the nose and then place your awareness at the back of the throat where the air is passing. And try to keep your attention there. You're focusing it like a photographer focuses a camera, or a sculptor focuses the blade on the sculpture, the way the potter focuses their hands on the clay. And staying in touch with those sensations at the back of the throat, inhale to cat pose. Exhale to cow pose. Even though there's going to be these larger sensations in your body and they're more dynamic, keep your primary focus on that spot at the back of the throat. The air is coming and going, and it changes temperature slightly, but you can make a consistent kind of smoothness to the breath. So even though there will be temperature fluctuations, the smoothness that you cultivate with the breath can be consistent, as will the stillness at the top and bottom of the breath. Let's go one more time to cat pose. And then come into table pose. And now inhale, open your left arm out to the side. And exhale, step your right foot back to plank pose. And can you hold steady the breath? On the inhale, you're going to feel that at the back of the throat. Then there'll be the stillness at the top of the inhale. Please keep the hips level. During the exhale, you're going to feel the breath is a different temperature. And it is at the back of the throat, but more on the front of that exit pathway. With your next exhale, return your right knee and your left hand to the floor. And then inhale, open your right arm out to the side. And exhale, left foot back to plank pose. Keeping your hips level, your eyes steady. Your mind should have the bandwidth, the extra ability then to really just focus in on this sensation of the air at the back of the throat. So you're kind of narrowing the aperture of your focus on purpose. And exhale, return your left knee and your right hand simultaneously to the floor. Curl the toes under and reach up into downward facing dog pose. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And in this dog pose this morning, again, keep the focus in the same place. Just make it a luxury to yourself so you don't get bored. Make it a luxury that you have the physical health and the mental health to bring your focus to this place where the breath is moving through the sinus cavities and down into the throat. And with your next inhale, roll the spine like cat pose to come forward to your plank pose. Touch your knees down to table pose and reach back to child's pose. Keep awareness of the breath in the back of the throat. Inhale, roll forward through cat to table pose. Now check that you can step each leg out to the side and you have the ease to do that. I'll scoop my blankets. Okay, and then making the hands a stable foundation, place your index fingers to be parallel. And in your table pose, inhale, sweep your left arm out to the side. Exhale, toe touch the right toes to the right. Inhale, make the right toes light on the floor. And exhale, return your right knee and your left hand. Inhale, right arm out to the side. Notice the diagonal sash of the abdominal muscles. Exhale, left toes to the left. Keep your right hip stable. Exhale, return your left knee and your right hand at the same moment. Now try to do them coordinated. Inhale, left hand, right toes. Exhale, table. Inhale, right hand, left toes. Table pose. First side. Notice the air at the back of the throat, even though there's a lot of other intrigue going on in the body and the sensations. One more breath, please. Curl the toes under, and again, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You have the luxury of noticing the sensations, in this case, the inner sensation against the throat. Walk your hands and feet towards each other, and now please come into Uttanasana, the standing forward bend. You can have the feet to their hip distance apart. And as you inhale, glide your heart forward like cow pose and look forward. And then exhale to bow towards your legs. Again, inhale, glide forward like cow pose. Make it a luxury to notice the air, the cooler temperature of the air at the back of the throat. Exhale towards the legs, the luxury of noticing slightly warmer air during the exhale. And inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to your heart. I'll step back so you can see me still. Then take a wide stance. And let's do the feet about the length of one leg. And come down to prasarita padottanasana. So in this position, let's make it like a pyramid for the moment. So you've got each foot at about a leg distance apart. Walk your hands forward. So you have 4 points of contact, but you have 2 that are forward close to each other. So think of it as a tripod for the moment. And as you inhale, glide your hips to your left. And as you exhale, glide them to your right. And keep the hands stable where they are. And just go side to side at your body's breath pace. So you can sense the glide of your pelvis over the tops of the thighs. You can see if your mind could stay at the back of the sinuses in the throat. So you have this ability to sense the dynamic experiences going on, but your primary focus can be at the back of the throat. One thing that has really shifted in our society is our ability to concentrate. We have a lot more attention challenges, concentration challenges. And so think of this as your Dharana practice, your concentration practice. The next time that you're swishing your hips to your right, go ahead and pause there. And then deeply bend your right knee. Keep your hands where they are, but as you bend the right knee, glide your hips and pelvis to the right, press into your right heel. Glide your sitting bones back and press into your right heel. Swish your hips to your left. Deeply bend your left knee. Take the hips way back so the fingers stay where they are. You might even feel the side waist stretching. Of course, the inner thighs may be there. And then inhale, glide back up to center. And let's make this a moving process like the element of water, the second chakra. Bend your right knee, glide to your right. Inhale up to center. Exhale to your left. Of course, there's a lot moving, but your mind can stay in the same focus inside the throat. Last time, let's go to the left. And then please rise back up to center. Walk your hands back towards your hips. And rise up to standing. And then go heel toe to center until you're in mountain pose. And I know my camera looks like it's going to cut off the top of my head, but you don't have to see me, you have to see your own inner experience. Now, if you do nothing, you're not trying to breathe, you're not trying to do a yoga pose, bring your attention to the back of the throat, and you might notice like the absence of those sensations that you are making with the Ujjayi breath. Now returning to the Ujjayi breath, take a wide stance again. Okay, this is going to start including a twist and a little bit of an improv or a sway. That's going to be up to you. So when you come down, prasarita, padottanasana, and check again, you've got the wingspan to either side. You're not going to run into something. Okay, inhale up to your fingertips. So the torso I'm going to recommend is more or less parallel to the floor or a little bit higher. As you exhale, bend your right knee. You come down to your right, and then sweep the right arm out to the side. And if you have the strength for it, the left arm goes forward. And then we exhale up to center, and the left arm goes out to the side. And then bend your left knee, sweep your right arm forward if you have the strength for it. So inhale up to center, the arms both go wide. Exhale right. You may sweep the left arm forward. Ujjayi inhale up to center. And Ujjayi exhale to your left. Sweep the right arm forward. And go at your own pace. You're sensing there is some strength and agility that's needed, some coordination. But your primary purpose on your mat this morning, at least I'm inviting you to this purpose, is that your mind is unwavering at the back of the throat. And there the air passes more cool on the inhale and more heated on the exhale. In this way, each breath is actually a cleansing breath. The exhale, removing the heat, excess heat from the body. The inhale, cooling the system so we don't, in other words, get overheated practicing yoga. Let's go one more time to the left. And then return to center, place your fingertips on the floor. Looking down between where both hands are, place your left palm firmly on the floor or on a block. Inhale, twist up to your right. Exhale, bring your right hand down and reach it under, keeping the left arm straight. Inhale, open your wingtip to the sky. And exhale down, under, and through. And as you reach across towards your left foot, notice how the belly and the upper torso work together. Again, inhale to your right. And exhale down, under, and through. One more time, please. And then come to center, place your right hand where your left hand has been, and notice where your mind was during the activity. Does it stay at the back of the throat? Does it go to the more dynamic sensations? Do your best here. Inhale. Exhale down, under, and through. Notice the temperature of the air during inhale at the back of the throat and also its smoothness. Follow your exhale. So only you can coordinate with your rhythm and the length of your breath. And only you can help the mind to be in this focus spot as if you were shining a laser beam on something or placing the aperture of the camera for a close-up shot. Let's do one more time, open to your left. And exhale to come back down. Walk your hand to the line between your feet, so it's foot, hand, hand, foot. And then inhale, raise your chest and heart forward, fingertips, open your throat. And exhale, deeply bow towards your legs, curling in like cat pose. Inhale, glide forward like cow pose. And exhale, bow deeply in like cat pose. And even though your whole body is moving right now, the mind can stay in one location there inside the throat. So this is depth, consistency, and duration of concentration. So Abhyasa and Dharana. Inhale forward one more time, please. And then walk your hands forward into your downward facing dog pose. Step your feet back to be about hip distance apart. Gaze back between your toes. And then come forward onto your knees and into Vajrasana. Into Vajrasana. Okay, so we'll use a little bit of pranayama right now. The kind of pranayama that you guys think of as pranayama, not just the ujjayi breath and movement, but when we're doing things like Kapalabhati or Bhastrika, also Nadi Shodhanas. So in this one, we're going to stay in Vajrasana. For anybody for whom kneeling is difficult for your stamina, you can put a block under your hips to sit on, and that'll give you a little bit of height if you prefer that, or you can put that block flat between your feet. So it just gives a little bit of support or a firmness to sit on. You also could sit in a chair if that's what your knees prefer. Okay, rest one hand in the lap of the other like you have a little meditation bowl there. And that where that lands, you're at the second chakra. So right physically in from there would be your bladder. Is it okay for me to talk about your bladder in public? Okay, so placing your attention down at the second chakra, we're going to do Bhastrika, 5 strong exhales, 1 long exhale. And then we'll inhale through the nose, that's Ujjayi. We're going to suspend for a few moments. And during the suspension, you should feel the low belly go in and up. And that's what makes the chest puff up. And at the same time, the chin comes to Uddiyana Bandha. So during inhale suspension, you're using the inner tone of the abdomen to go inward and upwards, like lifting a hot air balloon in the chest. And then we'll exhale out through the mouth like a tiny cocktail straw. Okay, let's begin. Inhale Ujjayi. And then suspension. And exhale like a tiny cocktail straw, the breath leaving the body really slowly. Notice the increasing tone that you'll have at the base of the belly. At the end of that exhale, you've squeezed the abdomen, and then you can completely relax the belly to the best of your ability. The next in-breath is like a little whisper, it comes in to you. When you feel that one round is settled, then we begin the second round. Ujjayi inhale. Suspension. Slowly exhale like a cocktail straw. And then deeply relax. And repeat one more time. Same thing. When you've come back to equilibrium, then repeat. Again, at the end of the exhale, you deeply relax. The next in-breath will come in through the nose. Now we're going to practice squeezing the exhale out, but welcoming the inhale in. So on this one, you're likely to need something for your head to touch when you come down. And the practice will be like this. On the inhale, we raise up on the knees. It's a little bit like a kneeling version of Urdhva maybe a little bit like camel pose, but the arms are overhead. On the exhale, the hands come down and we rest the head. So you're coming down towards child's pose and using the torso to open the bellows and to squeeze the bellows of the body. Okay, so use your Ujjayi breath, please. Here's the inhale. And then exhale, folding into child's pose. Use the pressure of the exhale, the torso on the thighs, to complete the exhalation. The hands go back by your feet. And then inhale to open again. It is a back bend, so let the hips come a little bit forward. Open your chest, heart, and throat. And follow your exhale. Squeeze the exhale out. Inhale, rise up. Of course, at your own pace. And see if you could keep your mind at the back of the throat. Twice more, please. Last one, and we'll finish in child's pose. So as you come down, you squeeze the breath out, and at the bottom of that last squeeze, then let your body relax in child's pose. For me, that's more comfortable if my arms are forward and if my knees are a little bit separated. And so walk your hands back towards your knees, please. Now with that squeezing of the abdomen, we're venturing towards not only inhale suspension as a practice, but exhale suspension. Exhale suspension is more complicated for people and they tend to feel more uneasy learning it because inhale suspension, we feel like, oh, I've got air in me, I'm going to be okay. But exhale suspension, we can make ourselves sometimes breathless in a very unhelpful way. So I'm going to ask you to be really thoughtful about this, and we're going to explore it standing up in the jazz dance warm-up pose. There are places we do it here in child's pose. We have modifications of things like this, but having had the child's pose we just had and that period of kneeling, I'm going to get you up off of your knees. So please come up to your jazz dance warm-up pose. Your legs should feel ready from the work we were doing before. Yeah. Place your hands out over your knees. Root down into your heels and let the inner thighs stretch. Let it be joyful, an opening of the pelvis and the inner belly. Place your mind where the bladder is, right? When you had your hands like a meditation bowl, you can place the mind there now. And as you inhale, slowly fill the torso. Use the Ujjayi breath. Notice how you expand at the second chakra. That expansion does continue upwards to the back of the heart and the collarbones too. And then watch how you exhale from the pubic bone, roll the belly up towards your diaphragm. Continue the exhale inside the chest too, but without collapsing your chest down. And then notice how You release the low belly to receive the inhale. That is a really important transition. When you've completed the exhale, how do you navigate the pelvic floor and the deep inner belly to receive your next inhalation? You want to do that slowly, like a dimmer switch, not abruptly, like a floodlight. Please do one more breath cycle, just continuous. No suspensions right now. Noticing how the lower abdomen rolls through the breath. And then rise up to stand, make your feet parallel. So we'll do one more piece here, and I'll explain it before we do it so that you have the kind of sketch of what's going to happen. Now when you exhale, you'll be squeezing the belly as you were doing from the pubic bone up. At the end of the exhale, when you've expelled as much air as possible, I'm going to ask you not to inhale and then to really relax the exhale muscles. And there should be an automatic and natural sense of an internal vacuum that happens. That vacuum is going to affect your pelvic floor and the inner belly. Then you have to tone the low abdomen to release the vacuum because it's affecting the upper and the lower quadrants of the torso, or upper and lower hemispheres, I should say. So you tone the belly before the next inhale comes in. And again, you're going to roll the inhale through this region of the body. It's not like all inhale in the low pelvis. It's still a slow, thoughtful process for the inhale. So please bend your knees and come down. And you can put your gaze and your attention at the bladder, the second chakra. Inhale from the pelvic floor, going upwards as usual, but keep your mind right there at the lower belly. And then exhale slowly from the pelvic floor. Roll the exhale up through the inner abdomen, keeping your mind at the lower belly, even as the exhale completes. At the end of that exhale, without inhaling, totally relax the exhale muscles. Then tone the deep inner belly so that your next inhale feels smooth and has no gasping. And try that twice more, please. So this really brief exhale suspension is brief. It's kind of like blinking. You're learning a skill right here that becomes a part of the whole process of exhale suspension. This is just a brief little blink of a suspension. And please rise up to standing when you're complete and walk your heels and toes in. Hello, you can come in. Please come to the front of your mat for Surya Namaskar. Okay, place your blocks or your chairs or your Great Danes, you've got one on each side, and come ready for Surya Namaskar. Bring your palms together. Energize your feet, your arches, inner thighs, and then sense that rising up through the pelvic floor, the central channel, this plumb line up through the crown of your skull. And I'd like us to put the attention again in the back of the throat. Good morning, Nakula. You had a long sleep. Okay, here we go. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. And now chair pose. And think about, even though the chest won't touch the thighs, in chair pose, think about the child's pose from earlier. Squeeze the exhale out. Inhale, rise up, upward hands pose. Keeping your mind in the back of your throat. Exhale, come down to Uttanasana. To keep your mind in one place where there's a sensation is to revitalize your senses. Inhale your heart forward. Exhale, take your left toes straight back. Inhale, rise to your crescent. And then sustain yourself here in the crescent. So left toes, left leg, left butt, they're all strong. Press down through your right heel, right toes, right thigh, keep the muscles toned. And just focus your mind right there at the back of the throat as if you were having a sublime meditation. Place all of your senses right there at the back of the throat, hearing the breath sound, seeing its pathway in your imagination, feeling the air at the back of the throat touching. And follow your exhale, sweep the arms wide, come forward, and as you lightly touch the floor or the blocks, then firmly place your hands for plank pose. Inhale. Then exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, cow pose. Inhale to seal pose. Exhale, table pose. Notice the breath in the back of the throat. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Enjoy the inhalation. Exhale, left foot forward. Inhale, rise to your crescent. And then stay a while in your crescent. Keep the tone of the foundation of your pose in crescent. And whatever crescent you're doing, your variation, my variation, the mind can stay in this one little aperture. So all of your senses, they merge into one place. In other words, pratyahara, we're taking the senses from the outer world to the inner world. And then follow your exhale to come down. And at first you may lightly touch the floor or the blocks and then firmly place your hands. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhale to plank. Exhale, cow pose. So the chest and heart are already open. Inhale, seal pose. Exhale, table pose. Smoothly inhale, plank. Smoothly exhale, downward facing dog. Now enjoy the in-breath. And as you exhale, step your right foot forward, touch your left knee to the floor for Anjaneyasana, and inhale, rise up, Anjaneyasana. And again, we're going to stay a little while, so make the breath your priority. The pose you have done before, you'll do it again, but let the mind and the breath be the priority for your senses. Have our senses organized or cohesive is a far better way to move into the day than to feel like our senses are chaotic or kind of dashing about hither and thither like dust bunnies. Will you please follow your exhale to sweep the arms wide. Touch the two blocks this time lightly and straighten both legs with your inhale. Pivot your left heel to the floor. Make the right hand firm but be on your fingertips and open to triangle pose, which we were doing in yesterday's 10 a.m. class. Sweep your left arm past your left ear. While keeping your mind focused on the sensation of the breath, root your left heel, tone your left butt, tone the inner belly, broaden your back waist, open the heart, lengthen your left arm, and then follow your exhale to bring your left fingertips back down to the blocks and pivot to plank pose. Breathe in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Cow pose. Seal pose, even if your hair's in your mouth. Table pose. Notice the low abdomen. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Enjoy the inhale. And with your exhale, step your left foot forward, touch the right knee to the floor. And then inhale, rise up to Anjaneyasana. We're going to stay a while, so make sure the foundation is stable and strong, and your attention can go into that place in the back hollow of the throat. It is up near where the sinuses are. And often during the inhale, you'll feel that really at the back of the sinus opening, and during the exhale, more on the front. The air more cool on the inhale, more heated on the exhale. And exhale, sweep your arms wide, come over your front leg and place your fingertips on your blocks. You can straighten both legs. And then carefully pivot your back heel, your right heel to the floor, and open to triangle pose. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. And while you keep your attention on the Ujjayi breath in the back of the throat, just give a little moment, press into your right heel, tone your right leg and your right outer hip. Use the strength at the back of your right hip. Tone the inner belly, reach into your heart, and your right arm and fingers. And then with your exhale, reach your right fingertips back down to your block. And one more time, please step into plank pose. Then exhale backwards, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, cow pose. Inhale the heart forward, seal pose. Table pose. Child's pose. Make a block for the head and relax very deeply. As you're relaxing there, let the breath take care of you. You're not making it happen. Just notice the quality of your mind from all the concentration I've been recommending. Okay, and from child's pose, walk your hands back to Vajrasana, please. Come up to kneeling. And then let's take the 2 blankets and place them. I got mine a little bit lumpy, so smooth them out, please. And place the 2 blankets so that they're going to go under your pelvis for a spine twist. And then we'll use them for the Shavasana as well. So you can lie on your back with your knees bent. I know that you guys can't see this because it's slightly off screen, and also the cats are white and the carpet's white, but Mama Kitty, Papa Kitty, they're doing their own yoga here. Okay, please lie back. Bring your knees to your chest. Place a block between your knees, please. Take the arms out into a T shape. Hi, Nakula. You're just in time to be in the wrong spot. Oh, we can work it out, honey. Okay, we're going to take the knees side to side, close to the armpits. So exhale down to your left. Did you want to help me? And inhale up to center. And then exhale down to your right without bunking your cat in the head. You seem okay with it. Inhale up to center. Exhale to your left, of course at your own pace, and you can make this now. Really notice the inner belly and the rhythm that you're moving. Make it like if you were a boat on the water. What would you like that rhythm to feel like? If you were a passenger in that boat, what would you like it to feel like? So we aren't staying down on either side, but there is a little pause at the top and bottom of the breath. And you can bring that to center, please. And then touch your feet down. Lift your hips to slide the blankets to go under your hamstrings. And set them there for your Shavasana. And in Shavasana, rest your mind in the lower belly, across your lap, like in the low abdomen. And let's picture it as if the lower belly were a beautiful body of water that is becoming very tranquil and very clear. The surface of the water would receive the reflection of the sky, but the water would not try to change what's happening in the sky. So it's at home in its own basin. Let your mind be at rest in the lower pelvis. You can use your imagination. The water is becoming more clear, more receptive, and more reflective. The water has no urge to change what's happening in the sky above and reflects it unconditionally. I encourage your mind to stay in the lower abdomen, in the lower pelvis. With your mind resting there again, cultivate the quality of mind that becomes tranquil, receptive, reflective. As you sense the inner belly, be tranquil, receptive, reflective. Just notice for a few moments the absence of any need for comparison, the absence of envy, the absence of craving, the absence of aversion, the absence of comparison, the absence of envy, the absence of craving, the absence of aversion. And you may lightly wiggle your fingers and your toes. And quietly bend your knees. Please roll to your side, and we're going to share a time for meditation. You can see that my camera timed out, so the battery life is showing itself here. You don't need to see me for your meditation. Your eyes will be closed. We can imagine each other. So come upright, and you can rest your hands in your lap. One hand in the lap of the other. You can move your picture if you'd like to gallery mode if you want to see other people, because my camera is done. Um, and then as you sit quietly, just taking in a sense of community and communion, rest your attention down in the belly. So when we feel in the lower chakra here, in the second chakra, when we have a sense that we are free from aversion, we're not tangled in craving, we're caught neither in comparison nor in envy, we have the freedom for the practice called mudita. There's a full sense of reflecting to others their goodness, radiance, their joy. And not only reflecting it, but appreciating those goodnesses or joys in them. Mudita means happiness for the happiness or the good fortune of the other. It can also be an inner appreciation for our good fortune when we're humming in that place. It is a practice to free us from comparison and envy, to free us from craving and aversion. You can rest in the inner silence and stillness that is available to you. Even if there's mental noise, and let that be your non-priority for right now. So freedom from craving and aversion, freedom from comparison, jealousy, or envy. Resting in the reflectivity and the receptivity. And please raise your hands to your heart. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for sharing this practice. Namaste. I'm sorry that my camera timed out because you can't see that Nakula is sitting in his meditation seat right now. He's looking at all of you, so you have to imagine my cat is admiring your practice. Thank you. So even though you can't